What's going on, everybody? GemMint here, back again. Man, I loved Xmen 97. I think they did such a great job with that animated series. And considering how prevalent Sunspot was, Cable was, starting off the show with Magneto being the headmaster, it really made me think of all of the potential that they had with X-Men spin-offs. I'm talking about New Mutants, X-Force, X-Factor, maybe even Excalibur. So I thought it'd be a good time to bust out the omnibus and take a look at every X-Men spin-off omnibus, and I really wanted to regulate it to just the team books. So we're going to do a quick overview of all these, give you my commentary, but before we do, if you're enjoying the videos, please hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed if you want to see more, and hit that notification bell so you're made aware every time I release a video. Let's start with the first mutant spin-off, the second team trained at Xavier Mansion, the New Mutants. All right, so the New Mutants ran for 100 issues before it would then turn into X-Force. The first 3 volumes take us up to issue 85, so it's going to need one more volume to finish off this run, which was started by Chris Claremont. You had Bob McLeod, would later have stories by Louise Simonson. Here are the first 3 covers. This is actually the cover for issue number 1. You got Warlock with the team. You've got Magneto versus Sebastian Shaw. You've got the White Queen, Emma Frost on the front, Madeline Pryor. Let's take a look at the spines together. So the New Mutants Omnibus all have really great graphic designs. All the spines match. You've got the full team here. You've got Sunspot with Cannonball. And you have the logos changing from the original logo to the more recent one, I guess you could say. But here we go, all 3 spines. And then the back of the Omnis have a very similar aesthetic as well. So Volume 1 collects the first appearance of the New Mutants, which is in Marvel Graphic Novel 4. Then you have the first 34 issues, the first annual, and they all have little tie-ins, miniseries, and bonus issues that coincide with the run. So this has Marvel Team Up Annual 6. You get Uncanny X-Men 160, 167, 180, 189, and 192. It's got the Magic 4-issue miniseries, and it's got material from Marvel Team Up issue 100. Volume 2 then collects issues 35 through 54. It's got the New Mutant Special Edition. You got the second and third annuals, which the second annual would be the first appearance of Psylocke, well, the U.S. version of Psylocke. Then you get X-Men Annuals 9 and 10, Power Pack 20 and 33, Fallen Angels 1 through 8, Firestar 1 through 4, New Mutants War Children, and some material from Web of Spider-Man Annual 2. And then Volume 3 collects issues 55 through 85, Annual 4, Spellbound 4, Power Pack 40, Uncanny X-Men 231, the 4-issue miniseries for X-Terminators, and material from Marvel Comics Presents 22, Marvel Fanfare 55, Marvel Superheroes 1, and X-Men Odd Men Out. And then we have some beautiful art on the hardcovers. You got the Bill Sienkiewicz on Volume 1. The spines all match like the dust jackets. And then they have one of the different cover options on the back here. This one being the same cover as the front of the dust jacket. And then the inside of the dust jackets give us biographies on the creators. I already mentioned Chris Claremont and Bob McLeod, Sal Buscema, and then you had Bill Sienkiewicz, which I mentioned from the hardcover, but also did the Demon Bear storyline. Beautiful artwork in this first volume. So we get introduced to a new team. You have Karma, Wolfsbane, Sunspot, who we have seen prevalent in X-Men 97. You have Psyche and Cannonball. Later on, they would acquire Magma, and Colossus's kid sister, Illyana Rasputin, comes back from Limbo as Magic. Relatively no time has passed on Earth, but for her, she's gone from a child to grown up and crazy powerful. Volume 2 would continue by Chris Claremont, but he's joined by Joe Duffy, Art Adams, Alan Davis, Jackson Juice, and Mary Wilshire. Now, this is the one where Magneto becomes the headmaster of the school, also borrowed and used in the X-Men 97 animated series. This also takes place during the Mutant Massacre event. And then Volume 3 is where you have Louise Simonson taking over on writing duties, joined by Brett Blevins. You got John Bogdanov and Terry Shoemaker. So this continues with the Hellion storyline. This was the rival school that Emma Frost had put together, kind of the antithesis to the New Mutants. They have this creature, Bird Brain, which they ended up reusing in the Krakoa era. So this is where that first starts. More about Ileana Rasputin. You have Mystique during this arc, and some other cameos like Doctor Strange, Power Pack, and etc. And then just flipping through the book some. So here's the Demon Bear storyline, which was adapted in the movie. I almost forget there was a New Mutants movie. Table of contents, really well put together books. So first we get the Spider-Man Fantastic Four team up before it would jump into Marvel Graphic Novel 4, which I mentioned is their first appearance. The New Mutants had the traditional black and yellow, what they called training outfits, similar to the X-Men when they first showed up in comics. It's essentially the student attire, what they used to train with. So that's what we see them wearing in Volume 1. Here goes the Bill Sienkiewicz art here. Amazing artwork. Demon Bear story, super good. Here's some nice pinups showcasing the characters. So you have Cannonball, Sunspot, Roberto da Costa, Ileana Rasputin, Warlock here, the first annual. And here we go, just flipping through Volume 2. So the similar aesthetic with the yellow cover pages, the credits pages, the table of contents. Here we got Art Adams art for the New Mutants Special Edition. That wraparound cover used on this very hardcover. We got Storm here, Roberto. Yeah, so like I said, this is where Magneto becomes the headmaster of the school. That's where they got this from for the X-Men animated series, X-Men 97, which was a lot of the inspiration for this video. You know, them using Sunspot, using Magneto as headmaster, how prevalent Cable was. Here's Fallen Angels. Some beautiful art, huge full page spreads. Here's Power Pack. And then let's take a look at Volume 3. See what I'm saying? Very uniform in their design, so looks great. You got Forge over here with Ileana, Cannonball. His whole thing in the beginning of this arc is that he has problems, turning and stopping. So he's invulnerable in his Cannonball form, and he just shoots around like a rocket. Yeah, in reading this, I read this years ago, and I felt like it was very much focused on him, like he was almost the main character or the leader, the Cyclops of the New Mutants, if you will. Oh, is this like a Fall of the Mutants tie-in right here? Wolfsbane, great character development on her. A lot of emotion. Colossus, obviously a lot going on with Ileana as his sister. Sim from the Inferno storyline. Yeah, so here we go. So around that era of X-Men, you get what's going on in the New Mutants world during the events of Inferno. Here's the cover of the dust jacket here. Magneto battles the Black King. Here's some XFactor tie-ins. Really excited and anticipating the final volume of New Mutants. I mean, they got to make a Volume 4 for New Mutants, right? I mean, I know it's going to double dip a little bit with X-Force Volume 1, but I'm sure there's other material that they can collect in that omnibus as well. All right, guys, let's jump on to the next series of books, and we're going to kick it off with XFactor by Peter David. All right, so right now, we only have XFactor by Peter David in 3 different volumes. The first volume starts with XFactor issue 55, and then skips issues, and then continues with 70 through 92. So XFactor, if you want to start from issue 1, what we have here is X-Men Mutant Massacre, which doesn't start with issue 1, but it collects XFactor issues 9 through 17. Then you have in the Fall of the Mutants omnibus collecting XFactor 18 through 26. And then in Inferno continues XFactor with issues 33 through 40. Now there is a XFactor, the original X-Men omnibus volume 1 that's going to come out supposedly July 30th. And that's going to collect XFactor 1 through 26, plus the first 2 annuals. It's also going to have Avengers 263, Fantastic Four 286, Iron Man Annual 8, Amazing Spider-Man 282, plus Thor 373, 374, and 377 and 378, Power Pack 27 and 35, Mephisto Verse Issue 2, Incredible Hulk 336 and 337, Secret Wars 2 Issue 5, and material for Marvel Fanfare 40 and Classic X-Men 8 and 43. But in the meantime, Marvel decided to collect the XFactor by Peter David. I mentioned what it collects as far as XFactor. It also has annuals 7 and 8, his Incredible Hulk 390 and 392, plus material from XFactor annual 5 and 6, and New Mutants annual 6. Then after the initial run, we get Volume 2, collecting Madrox 1 through 5, XFactor 1 through 39. This is from the 2005 volume. You have XFactor, The Quick and the Dead, XFactor Special, Layla Miller, and She-Hulk 31. And then continuing that run, you have issues 40 through 50 of XFactor, then the renumbering or legacy numbers 200 through 232, plus 224.1, and Nation X XFactor 1. So as far as the spines on this book, it is very uniform as far as the bottom, but the logos have the original XFactor logo for the original run, and then the more modernized one for the 2005 volume. All right, so inside the dust jacket, so we know it's Peter David, but Dale Keown on the artwork here, joined by Jay Lee, Joe Quesada, who does the wraparound cover on this book, plus Larry Stroman. All three have wraparound covers. This one is by far my favorite, with Strong Guy, with Jamie Madrox, the Multiple Man, with Havoc, Polaris. All right, so a lot of double dipping is going to be going on with XFactor, and that's because when they first burst onto the scene, there were so many X-Men events going on, like Inferno, like Secret Wars and things of that nature, Secret Wars 2 as well. So this jumps in, like I said, with issue 55. Peter David jumps on the run. Here goes the table of contents, giving us a where we're at with XFactor 70. So XFactor is the original X-Men team, the original 5. After Giant Size, we had the all-new X-Men, which included Storm, Nightcrawler, Wolverine. So the original 5, Beast, Angel, who's now Archangel, well, that actually happens in like one of the first arcs of XFactor. I think it's like in the teens to the mid-20s where they battle up against Apocalypse. So you got Beast, Archangel, you have Jean Grey as Marvel Girl, you have Iceman, and of course Cyclops. Then you would start to add later on new team members, like I mentioned, Strong Guy. So you got Spiral here, so tying in with that whole Mojo universe. Got the Blob, Quicksilver. I like the earlier stuff, Strife. Just the art style, I think, just hits so much harder for me. I guess it's maybe a nostalgic thing. That's really just the era that I grew up with. Wolfsbane in space. Got some Sentinels, random. I remember having that action figure. That's volume 1 for the Peter David run. Volume 2 has more modernized art, still has Guido as Strong Guy there, punching this dude in the face. All right, so the new run here by Peter David, he's joined by Dennis Calero, Valentine D. Landro, Scott Eaton, Coy Palm, Pablo Raimondi, Ryan Sook, and Larry Stroman again. So yeah, more than a decade after his acclaimed run on the first XFactor run, he returns and it stars with Madrox. Open up here to a black cover page. Here's Jamie Madrox once again. So like you obviously can see, now we're in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. You have much more of a modernized art style, more mature looking, which has its place. Again, I'm more of a fan of the 90s stuff, but a more modern take on XFactor. No longer just the original 5 core X-Men doing their own thing. And then the last one with a much more modernized take on the team. This time it's just Peter David with Valentine D. Landro and Emma Lapuccino. So this is essentially just continuing where Volume 2 started. Current iteration of the team, you still have Jamie Madrox and Strong Guy, or some staples now. Love the M tattoo on the face here from the Bishop era. Some more of that, some Sentinel goodness. Yeah, so more of the same here with Volume 3. Peter David's 2005 run. If you're looking to pick up that XFactor, the original X-Men Omnibus, check out OrganicPriceBooks.com. They have great packaging with super fast shipping. You can pre-order Omnis, and you can save $2 every time by using code GemMint at checkout. If you're overseas, check out comicsbugle.com. They have great packaging as well. They use 100% recyclable material. They have free shipping, no taxes, and no import fees as long as you're in the EU. And they have pre-order options where you don't pay until the book is ready to ship. You could also save $2 by using that same code GemMint at checkout. All right, guys, let's jump into probably the weirdest mutant team. We got Excalibur. Chris Claremont, being from the UK, during a time where the X-Men are no more after the events of Fall of the Mutants, he teams up with another UK-based creator, Alan Davis, to give us a UK version of the X-Men, essentially. You have Kitty Pryde and Nightcrawler joining Captain Britain to form Excalibur, which deals with a different kind of vibe than the regular X-Men books. It's more of the Camelot, the mystic and magical aspects. Here we have the two spines here lining up so well with the Excalibur logos, and of course the back of the books here. So collecting Excalibur Special Edition 1, Excalibur 1 through 34, Excalibur Mojo Mayhem, Quasar 11, and Thor 427 through 429. It also has material from Marvel Comics Presents 31 through 38. And then Volume 2 continues the run with issues 33 through 67. You get Excalibur Weird War 3, Excalibur The Possession, Excalibur Heir Apparent, Excalibur XX Crossing, Sensational She-Hulk 26, and some material from Marvel Comics Presents 75 and 110. All right, the inside of the dust jacket for Volume 1, like I mentioned, the two creators here, talking about Chris Claremont, British-born writer. He had one of the most character-defining runs on the X-Men, and like I said, during the time where they were no longer in play, he sets up this new team here. Volume 2 has Alan Davis doing the art and the writing, but he's also joined by Scott Lobdell, so he continues the run at which he started. Inside of the dust jacket gets curiouser and curiouser. Love the art on this wraparound cover. Like I said, Camelot, Excalibur, you got a lot of those kind of motifs during this run. You got Morgan here. This one's not a wraparound cover, but some lovely images on both sides. All right, opening up that first one, you got the bright red cover pages. You got a nice pin up here, table of contents. And then the creation of Excalibur. Yeah, I mean, two superstar creators kind of doing what they want to do with these characters, taking some of the core X-Men and then having them join with Captain Britain and doing kind of these wackier, more magical type of storylines. So a totally different vibe from what we were getting in Uncanny X-Men. Huge fan of Alan Davis. Kind of a goofy look for the team. Mojo here, nice little pin up on the back. Yeah, so Volume 1, collecting the first half here. As you can already see the type of vibe that they're on here with Excalibur. And a quick look at Volume 2, same red cover pages. I really got a lot of dings on this one, right? This one must have fell on the corner. But very similar aesthetics to Volume 1, table of contents. Here's Weird War 3. Weird War is always so hard for me to say. Yeah, so this is like more of a graphic novel. You can even tell by the art style here. So Weird War 3. Jumping back into the main title here with the Phoenix. Wonder Man versus Captain Britain. Here you go, Alan Davis back at it. Kang the Conqueror. Strange, Hulk, Iron Fist. Some Spidey cameos. More Nightcrawler, Psylocke here. Of course, Betsy Braddock with her relation to Captain Britain.
This video is brought to you by Bad Music, issue number 1. Following the battle at the Ninja Funk Dojo and the capture of BB, Bad Music retreats to their headquarters at the Nexus. With the love of Laser Wolf's life as irresistible bait, there's no doubt in Queen Bad's mind that her nemesis will come knocking and she's ready for them. Will Laser Wolf, JPG McFly, and Wolfgang see the trap for what it is or run headlong into disaster? Find out in Ninja Funk Bad Music number 1,
in stores June 5th. And then the final team, one of my favorites, we have X-Force. Not only do we have the original 90s run, but we've also got Uncanny X-Force. Let's take a look at them. All right, now it's a little funny the way that X-Force is collected. So you have X-Force Volume 1, but then you have Deadpool and X-Force, which is pretty much Volume 2, and then Cable and X-Force. I'm not sure why they went that route with the titling. I think during this time, Deadpool was super hot with his first two movies, but I'm not really sure if that's why they did that. So here are the spines lined up. They don't really go well together, but this is how they look regardless. Now, we'll look to see what they collect, and then it'll start to make a lot more sense. So Volume 1 collects New Mutants 98 through 100. So you get the first appearance of Deadpool, you get the last issue of New Mutants, then jumping into the X-Force run, you have New Mutants Annual 7 and Xmen Annual 15, plus XFactor Annual 6, until we get to the 15-issue X-Force main run. It also has Spider-Man 16. That was the horizontal issue, the Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld collaboration, which was a two-part story, which was also during McFarlane's Spider-Man run. Then we have Deadpool and X-Force. So it collects X-Force 19 through 31. So we're missing X-Force 16, 17, and 18, which is interesting. It has Annual 2. Volume 1 has Annual 1. So Annual 2, you get Cable 1 through 8, Deadpool Circle Chase 1 through 4, then Deadpool 1 through 4, which he had two miniseries back-to-back. Here goes the other one on the bottom. It also has New Warriors 31 and Nomad 20. And then Volume 3 continues with X-Force with issue 32 through 43, so picking directly up where that left off. Annual 3, Cable 9 through 20, New Warriors 45 and 46, XFactor 106, Excalibur 82, and Wolverine 85. All right, so in Volume 1, we know that Rob Liefeld is the creator here. He was working with Fabian Nicieza, Todd McFarlane, Mark Pasella, and John Romita Jr. Deadpool and X-Force would continue with Fabian, but joined by Mark Waid, Greg Capullo, Ian Churchill, and Joe Mad. Then Cable and X-Force would be Jeff Loeb, Fabian Nicieza again, Glenn Herdling, Tony Daniel, and Steve Scorse. All right, so the actual hardcovers, this is an older omnibus, so not too much going on there. This is the same as the Dust Jacket. Actually, it's the Dust Jacket broken down into its own images. So Nathan Dayspring, Cable, which continues here with a beautiful wraparound cover. You got Cable with Cyclops, Wolverine, Jean Grey. All right, into Volume 1. This was actually one of the first Omnis that I bought and read it from front to back. It's stuff that I grew up with, so I liked reading it all in one sitting here, giving us previously on X-Men, just like the animated series, Gideon, first appearance of Deadpool, New Mutants 98, kind of get an idea of, Cable's already kind of leading the New Mutants at this time, and then he breaks off to create the X-Force. Issue 100, the final issue. Then you have these annuals from all the X titles before we would get to X-Force issue 1. And here we go, the classic Liefeld wraparound cover, X-Force issue 1. You got Cable, Boom Boom, Feral, you have Domino, Thunderbird, and Shatterstar. And don't forget Cannonball at the top here. So I'm a huge fan of this era, the art style. You got Deadpool as the Merc. This is before he gets too slapstick crazy. It goes Juggernaut versus Siren. Yeah, I'm just a big fan of this era. The coloring before everything went digitized. Here's the horizontal issue. You could tell McFarlane teeth anywhere. Tying in with his last arc on Spider-Man. Mike Mignola pinup here of X-Force. Strife is Cable's nemesis. All right, then let's take a look at essentially Volume 2, Deadpool and X-Force. Table of contents. Yeah, so I could see why they call it Deadpool and X-Force based on the contents. So Deadpool was super popular and ended up giving him his first two miniseries before he would get his ongoing by Joe Kelly. So it's the Circle Chase and then just the self-titled 4-issue mini. But like I said, continuing a chunk of the original X-Force run, missing just those, 3 issues in between. Sunspot still around. Shatterstar. I always liked Shatterstar as a kid. I was always kind of disappointed when I found out he wasn't that popular of a character. Then, we get a lot of the Cable between this omnibus and the next one as well. So the 90s Cable run, gotta love it. Deadpool, here goes the Circle Chase. Issue number 2. Vanessa, much different in the comics than they made her in the movie, right? All right, so here goes some more Cable stuff. That's going to lead into the next Omni. All right, so we saw that wraparound cover. Goes the interiors. Yeah, so especially with how popular or how prevalent Cable was in the X-Men 97 animated series, I'm sure a lot of people would love to come back and check out his origins. I mean, that's what these Omnis collect, right? I mean, his first appearance is in 87, but you get 98 through 100 of New Mutants, and then him putting together X-Force, and then having his own solo series. Got some Omega Red. They had a nice little cameo of Omega Red in the show as well. So yeah, if you want to read up more on Cable, this is where it's at. And of course, we can't forget about Uncanny XForce by Rick Remender. This is one of my favorite Marvel Omnis. I've owned this run in single issues. I've read it in single issues. I've read it in the omnibus format. I just love the team. And what's funny, even though I usually prefer the 90s stuff more than the late 2000s or post-2000 stuff, I actually really, really like this one. The art style, I mean, look at the team. Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Archangel, Psylocke, Phantom X, Deadpool, Cable. And then there's some others that kind of come and go throughout this run as well. A lot of creators on here because Rick Remender was joined by quite a few different artists. So you have Jerome Opeña, Asad Ribic, who is most known probably for his Thor run, Phil Noto, Billy Tan, Mark Brooks, and Greg Tocchini. You also get work from Leonardo Manco, Rafael Albuquerque, Robbie Rodriguez, Mike McCone, Julian Totino Tedesco, and Dave Williams. Yeah, here we go, a little biography. Could you kill a child to save the world? So this opens up with a conundrum of sorts on if you can go back and kill Hitler, would you kill him to prevent his atrocities? But instead of Hitler, it's Apocalypse here. I want to say the child version of Apocalypse is named Evan. First of all, Archangel has crazy character development here. He's in a relationship with Psylocke, and he's got like this kind of possession thing going on here. Super cool. So first day of the rest of your life. I remember it opens up with this scene with Deadpool kind of hanging upside down somewhere. Where is that scene? It's like their first mission. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, because that was just a little prelude. And here goes issue 1, the Apocalypse Solution. Him jumping down this big thing. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the costume change. Everybody with the redded out eyes, Wolverine and Deadpool. I want to say Nightcrawler joins later on. Lady Deathstrike. Phantom X, such an interesting character. This is where I first really got into him. I think he first appeared in New X-Men, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it was Uncanny. But you learn a lot about the Phantom X character in this run. Yeah, I guess just like the character development of these guys, the situations that they're placed in, the action. Huge fan of this book. It's almost time for a reread, I would say. All right, everybody, thanks for checking out the video. Let me know in the comments below, what did you think of X-Men 97? Which team is your favorite X-Men spinoff? And stay minty fresh, y'all. Peace.